Rachel Reeves has referred herself to the Parliament Standards Watchdog after admitting to breaking renting rules on her family home in South London.
So she put the house in South London up for rent without the necessary licence, which could make her liable for prosecution. The Minister for Policing and Crime, Sarah Jones, joins us now. Good morning to you.
Morning.
What Rachel Reeves did, she has apologised for and has since tried to obtain a licence. It is a criminal act, though, to not receive the licence before you put your home up for rent in that particular area. Now, she suggested that she didn't know about it. She'd put it in the hands of the letting agents and so on. And the Prime Minister has said that there is no need for a further investigation. However, it has come to light this morning, and Mel Stride, the Shadow Chancellor, raised it earlier in the show, that, in fact, Rachel Reeves had campaigned herself to bring in these licence requirements on rogue landlords in her own constituency in Leeds West. So it's fair to suggest, isn't it, that Rachel Reeves did know about these licensing arrangements, that they do exist, and that actually it was ignorant of her to not try and check when she was putting her own home up for rent whether a licence was needed or not.
Well, she's made a mistake and she's apologised for it. Of course, when you move into 11 Downing Street, you move out of your family home. She worked through a letting agency to rent that out. That was declared. The income from that rental income was declared in the usual way. There was no secrecy in what she was doing. She made a mistake. Landlord licensing schemes exist in some boroughs. They don't exist in others. She made a mistake. She rectified it. She told the parliamentary authorities. She wrote to the Prime Minister and she has apologised. And, of course, the Prime Minister took the opportunity to, of course, speak to his ethics advisor, to request advice from the ethics advisor, who said that that was essentially the end of the matter because she'd put it right as soon as she realised.
So for any other landlords watching this morning who also have not obtained a licence when required, and it is a criminal offence to do that, are they OK just to apologise and circumnavigate the law?
They will go through the same process that she has, which is that she has applied. If there are sanctions to be put in place, they will be put in place, and they would with other landlords. Landlord licensing, the reason we will campaign for it, the reason we think it's a good thing, and the reason we passed the Renters' Rights Bill, which does similar things but puts them in statute, is that there are lots of rogue landlords who don't look after their property, have multiple homes, and they leave them in a really bad condition, and that's not good for private renters. That's what the selective licensing scheme is designed to try and impact. And as I say, it exists in some boroughs, it doesn't exist in others. She made a mistake, she's apologised for it.
Let me ask you about the story you want to talk about today. Home Office figures showing 60,000 knives seized since the election. Knife murders down 18%, all knife crime down by 5% in the last year. For a department which we're told by the Home Secretary is not fit for purpose, it looks like civil servants and the police have been doing a good job.
This is a really good thing. I wouldn't pretend it goes anywhere near as far as we want to go, but we have seen progress. What has happened is we have invested in our policing. We are putting more neighbourhood police on our streets. We are targeting the really pernicious crime, knife-enabled robbery, knife murders, county lines programme where knives and drugs are used hand in glove. This is a good news story, nowhere near far enough. But look, I've been campaigning since I was an MP, a backbench MP in 2017, where we saw a huge increase in knife crime. It went down, of course, during COVID, but has been going up ever since. We have turned the tide, and this is a good thing, and we want to keep doing it. We have a commitment to reduce knife crime by 50%, which is no small task, and we will keep doing the right things to make sure people are safer on our streets.
It's important that you say it doesn't go anywhere near far enough. Last week on our programme, we had Claire Staniforth, the mother of 15-year-old Harvey Will-Goose, who was, of course, fatally stabbed at a school in Sheffield, saying that we need more action, particularly in schools. I guess the question is this. We know from police chiefs across the country that they're really worried that budgets are being squeezed next year and the year after. They may not be able to maintain neighbourhood police numbers. Are you confident as the policing minister that you can carry on this pressure to reduce knife crime, or are those budget pressures from the Treasury and the spending review going to mean it's going to get harder to tackle knife crime, not easier next year?
Well, we know that we're going to have to deal within the budget parameters that we've got,
Yeah.
and we know that, of course, we could always do with more money. What I'm really keen to do, what Shabana Mahmood is really keen to do, is make sure we are spending that money in the right way. There are huge inefficiencies across policing. Any police officer will tell you that, the amount of time they spend having to do things that perhaps new technologies, AI, could do when it comes to the admin that we often force them to do. So there are decisions to be made about how we spend the money that we have. But it is the case that the police budget this year has gone up by £1.2 billion. It is a substantial amount of taxpayers' money that we are spending on tackling crime. What we've learnt in the last year when we've focused on knife crime is if you do the right things in the right places, you focus on county lines, you focus on the drug gangs, you focus on the crime where it is happening, in the areas where it is most acute, you can get results. Violence is not inevitable, and that is the lesson from this year, so we have to keep bearing down on it.
Can you tell us what message you think is being given to the victims of Haddoush Kabatu, the convicted sex offender, who it's now, since this programme talked about this issue yesterday, it's since been confirmed that he did receive £500 when he was deported back to Ethiopia on Tuesday. It sounds like the government's giving people like that a sweetener to leave. It leaves a very bitter taste in the mouth, though, I think, for taxpayers and in particular for those victims.
I 100% agree. It sticks in the throat and it feels galling that this has happened. But look, there was a choice to be made. This is a nasty sex offender. We want him out of the country. We do not use taxpayers' money spending hundreds of thousands of pounds using private jets or military planes or anything like that. We put these people on commercial flights with people who are going on holiday, people who are going to visit relatives, whatever they might be doing. A decision was made by the operatives in order to get that man on the plane out of the country. They gave him £500. The cost of him not going on that plane and having to charter, buy other tickets, buy other flights, keep him overnight would have been £10,000. So there was a choice, £500 versus £10,000. I think that was the right choice, but I completely understand that it's galling. And for those victims and the families, it is almost unfathomable, is it not, that he was released in the way that he was and he went missing. And all through the weekend calls, when we were searching for him, when the Met Police were searching for him, I was on calls with the police and with David Lammy. And the first thought that both David Lammy and Shabana Mahmood had were for the victims. Have we told them? Have we been in touch? Are they being cared for? Are they being looked after?
But just to
because, of course, they're at the heart of this. But we've got this man out of the country.
Just to put it into context, I believe that £500 in Ethiopia is, I think, a year's salary.
20 months, I think.
20 months' salary. 20 months' salary for a convicted sex offender to be deported.
It's
how
£500.
are the victims being supported? We've just been speaking to Hetty Barkworth-Nyanton and Rowan, who were talking about Jade's Law and about the kind of support that victims of crime in this country are desperate for, and we're being told that there's just not enough money to go around and they're campaigning hard. Charities are having to get involved. And yet there's £500, 20 months of salary for a convicted sex offender. It seems absolutely...
I completely
objectionable
understand.
is a very weak word for it.
I completely understand what you're saying. The choice that those operatives made, and I think it was the right one, was do we spend £500 now or do we spend £10,000 delaying this and having to book more flights on these commercial flights? Let's get him out of the country. That was the choice that was made. I think it was the right one on balance.
It may be a pragmatic choice, but morally it feels wrong.
It does. Of course, it feels wrong. This is a convicted offender. We are increasing the number of foreign national offenders that we remove from this country. The numbers have gone up 14%. In the last year, we have removed 5,000 convicted offenders from this country, and that is the right thing to do. But the practical decision was made to get that man on the plane, to pay £500 as opposed to the many thousands it would have cost. And I think, galling though that is, and I completely understand your point, I feel it very strongly myself, galling though that is, we got him out of the country, and that is a good thing.
Sarah Jones, Policing Minister, thank you very much indeed for being on our programme this morning.